Hello, I have a question for you today. When was the last time you really checked in with who your ideal client is? If it's been a while, don't worry, you're not alone. Today, Amy and I are diving in deep to show you how to keep your messaging aligned as your marketing and business evolve.
Welcome to the Grow Your Business for Good show. This is a place where coaches and consultants gather so you can learn how to lead a world-class business that does not tax your time, your energy, or your financial resources. We are your hosts, Shannon Hernandez
and Amy Hager of the Joyful Business Revolution. And our number one goal is to bring you clarity and insight on how to grow your business for good. All right, well, today we're talking about a topic that even seasoned business owners need to revisit. It is your ideal client and identifying your ideal client in a shifting marketplace. And so right now, if you're feeling like your current messaging may be a bit off, your audience really isn't responding the way they used to, you are at the right podcast because this episode is for you, my friend.
We are going to explore why updating your ideal client profile is critical as the marketplace shifts and evolves, and how you can fine-tune it to keep your business thriving. Ready? Amy, you ready?
Yes. All right. So let's go ahead and let's start with this. First, why do we even need to revisit our ideal client profile? And so if you really think about it, first, ask yourself the question, when was the last time you really looked at who you're serving? Are they still the right fit for you, where your business is headed and where it's going? Because if we think about it, markets change and your audience's needs will evolve. But here's the big point that I want you to think on. And honestly, I think it's even more important than your audience or the market. But you have changed too. And so if you think about the clients who were perfect for you 2 years ago, they may not be aligned with the direction that you're going in today or who you are as a person showing up to serve other humans in this world.
Absolutely. This is such a good point, and I could spend the next 30 minutes on just this point. Okay. So y'all know the story. I went out on the Camino and I had a question, and the question was, how do I get this business in more natural rhythms of the seasons? And I came back and I said, Amy, we're going to go all in. This is how it's going to go. Now, I changed. That's what happened. I changed. All right. And when I changed, I needed to update our messaging. And with the updated, upgraded messaging came new people who either resonated with the message or didn't, and quote unquote old people who either resonated with the message or didn't. It's just part of the process. All right. So this is a really good point that as we evolve, we want to look at our ideal client profiles and we want to think about, are these the best people that I can serve now, this year, maybe the next year, with my gifts, with my skill sets, with how I want to run my business, with my pricing, like everything here. And so this episode, y'all, is really for those of you who are established coaches, consultants, and service-based business owners who haven't looked at your ideal client profile in a while. Or you've looked at it through the bullshit lens that these people out in the internet land teach you, which is, which magazine are they reading and what do they like to eat for dinner? And I'm sorry, no one has ever asked me before hiring me any of those types of questions, right? Yeah. So let's really think through this, all right? I had a client who started out their business targeting solo entrepreneurs, but found that their true passion and their true success was actually working with teams that were ready to scale.
Yeah.
That is a different audience, y'all.
Such a different audience.
Different service, different mindset, different positioning, different messaging, different price point, right? So once they shifted their messaging, they saw immediate results because they were speaking directly to this evolved audience profile, right? So maybe you started out serving new entrepreneurs in your business, but now because of your expertise, because of what you've learned, because of how you've evolved, you're better positioned to work with established business owners who need scaling strategies. And if your messaging doesn't reflect that shift, you're going to speak to the wrong people, and that shit is hard.
Yeah.
You are pouring your heart and soul into your content, and it's like worse than crickets because there
Right.
is no chirp happening. We've been there, Amy. That shit's hard.
It is. And you may be having a lot of conversations, but they're not conversations that excite you to do the work with the person. And they're not feeling they're aligned, probably because they're a new business owner. And now you're talking more in the sense of expansion and someone who's been in business for a while. And so your sales calls are probably not as successful. So now you're doubting that you're even good at sales. It really all comes down to figuring out the first step of all of this, which is to evaluate who your current client base is. And so if you're sitting here and you're kind of shaking your head and you're like, yeah, I kind of get this, I want you to pause. And I would love for you to ask this question or answer this question. Who are your best clients right now? I want you to write their names down. They're the ones who are paying you on time. They're the ones who are getting the results. They're the ones that are a real joy for you to work with. So the first step to evaluating your current client base is to ask yourself, who are your best clients right now? Write their names down and write some of the qualities down about them.
Yeah. And then when you look at that list, you're going to ask yourself the next question. What do these clients have in common? For example, I had a client who realized during this exercise that their best customers were always asking for ongoing support, right? Not just one-off consultations, but like ongoing support. That insight helped me pivot that client to a retainer model, which not only boosted the revenue, but also created deeper relationships with their clients. And spoiler alert, they needed less of them. Alert, right? This is like the fun, like nitty-gritty work I get to do when we look at messaging and positioning. So what patterns, when you look at your list, can you spot in your best clients? What challenges are they facing today? And how has the market impacted their needs?
So then once we're able to really define those questions and you're then redefining the current state of clients. So the state that they're in before they actually work with you. And then we need to figure out what is the state or the status after they work with you. So their results. So we want where they are now today, and we want to know where they're going to go. What are the results? And when you do that exercise, you get to focus on really what's changed. So maybe, again, clients are no longer focused on starting up, but now they're worried about scaling and burning out as an entrepreneur. And when you're able to really focus on the transformation messaging, that's the important piece right there. Show them how you can help them move through this new challenge to reach that next level of success. And I think one thing that we do, especially when we're working with our clients and messaging, is we really talk through this concept of bold qualifiers. So Shannon, can you dive a little bit deeper in that? Because I think that is such a helpful tool that we use with our clients.
Yeah. And y'all, this part that we're talking about, the transformation, we call this the transformation statement, right? And And you've been lied to by most people, unless you've come and worked with us or maybe a couple others who have the insight. You actually need an ideal client profile for before they come into the service you sell and then after, because people buy from us, they buy the transformation. So we've got to help them see what it looks like now in their current state, and then after they work with us, what it will look like. Okay. So that's the first thing I want to say before I talk about bold qualifiers. The second thing is every single offer that you have needs to have its own pre and post ideal client profile. So for example, in our Joy Fueled Business Growth Program, we have the ideal client profile of where you're at right now, and then what will happen after you work a year with us. Okay. In our retreats, when we sell retreats, it's a 5-day container, essentially, 6-day container. What is it like before? What is it like after? Two different things, right? I have a new service for analyzing your sales page and giving you like 30 content ideas that align your marketing. What is that like before working with me? What is it like after? Okay. Yeah. All of these are so important. And if you take nothing else away from this episode today, if you only have one ideal client profile, or should I say half of an ideal client profile, because you've been instructed to make one ideal client profile for your entire business, and it's not even like the pre or the post, then really you have like half of a person of a profile.
Yeah.
Okay. We have got to fix it. All right. So now I will talk about the bold qualifiers. All right. We teach, once you get your transformation statement with the ideal client profile before they work with you and the ideal client profile after they work with you, what are the 3 bold qualifiers they must have in place in order to even be successful with you? And y'all, this is a rise for ethics in marketing, ethics in messaging, and true transparency, right? We know that our best clients in Joy Fueled, they have a few very specific things in place, all right? They have an offer that they've sold and that they love to sell or need to tweak, so they love it again, but they're not new to business. They have a website and an email marketing system set up, and they're willing to experiment and go deep with us over a year working to figure it out. Those are bold qualifiers. And believe me, when Amy gets you on a call, if any of those are missing, we are not going to talk to you about Joy Fueled. We may talk to you about another service that will help you, which also has its own bold qualifiers, right? So you need to get really specific. It helps you in your sales process. It helps your sales team. It helps your revenue projections. And most importantly, it sucks when you have the wrong people and the wrong programs and offers. It's like pulling the horse-drawn sleigh up an avalanche on a mountain.
Yeah.
It's not fun.
No, it's
and
not fun.
Those clients are nightmares.
Right.
But if we take radical responsibility, they're nightmare clients because you didn't do your job with bold qualifiers and ideal client profiles and messaging.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get your qualifiers in place this year. Let's get your ideal client pre and post for each offer. And let's make sure you're attracting the right people. The ones who are aligned with where you are now, where you're heading, and who you are best positioned to serve.
And I think to kind of add to that, Shannon, like one thing that we do really well with our clients is to experiment. You need to test and tweak this stuff. You're not probably going to get it right out the gate. And that's why we really focus on, when we're doing this work with our clients, on little micro experiments with the messaging and really work on how they're introducing themselves. How do they ask for referrals from their collaborators or their partners? And so, even when you're posting social media posts or sending emails, we need to really see, how does your audience respond? We need to pay attention what resonates and what doesn't resonate with your audience. And so, having a mechanism to also keep track of those results are really, really important when you are testing and tweaking your messaging. And that's something that we help all of our clients create when they're in this process. And so I want to dive in and to kind of take our conversation, Shannon, to some of the questions that we really get when we're revisiting ideal client profiles with our clients. And a lot of times clients will come completely overwhelmed by this. And what happens is they're either attracting inquiries left and right, but like I said before, none of them are a good fit. And when we really go deep and evaluate or reevaluate their ideal client profile, and we make a few tweaks, they're starting to land more conversations with dream clients who are ready to invest. And so if that's really resonating for you, I want you to stick around because I want you to hear some of these questions that they might be exactly what you need to hear today. So Shannon, kick us off. And can you kick us off with reflecting first?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, here's what this comes down to, y'all. 99% of you listening to the show, your gift is not words.
Yeah.
Your gift is some other amazing gift that I don't even have. All right. Your gift might not even be strategy and thinking through your messaging strategy and thinking through repositioning. So first, I don't want you to make it wrong. Make yourself wrong. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And if your messaging is rolling out and you're just not getting the results that you want, maybe you've been attracting people that aren't the right fit, or you're getting inquiries and people are ghosting you and they lead nowhere. You talk to them and then they vanish off the face of the earth, right? Then this FAQ section is really going to help you clear up this confusion and get yourself back on track. So one of the very first questions that we need to think through that we're asked quite often is, how often should I reevaluate my ideal client? And I'm going to say at least once a year. All right. Now, if you're following the trajectory of getting this business aligned with the season of reevaluation, reflecting, and visioning is now through March 20th, right? We're in the winter season. All right. So if you're right on time, it's why I'm releasing this episode when I'm releasing it. All right. But also know this, if you're listening to this in July or September and you're like, shit, this is like hitting home, it's okay to stop and do it then too. All right. You have to know what season in your cycle of business you're in. And we want to make sure your message is landing and that it's not falling flat, because we want you to sell your offers easily.
Yeah. Another question that we get so often, and this sometimes comes from that place of scarcity and fear, but what if my new ideal client is totally different from the one that I'm currently serving or the one that I started with? And we're going to say that is okay. Remember, evolution is a part of business growth. It is a part of being a human. And you just want to make sure that your messaging clearly communicates the shift so your audience really understands who you serve now. And so I really want to tell this quick story about Kathy. She went to financial planning or financial coaching school, and she was mostly coaching couples who were of the Christian faith based. And as she really got to understand financial planning for women specifically, she really realized that she wanted to only focus on working with women. And she also identified how spending habits also flow with your cycle flow. She had a whole list of men on her email list. And so it was so nerve-wracking for her to send that email and say that I've shifted. I am the money menopause coach, or I might be
No,
flipping
money
terms around.
menstruation.
Money menstruation. Thank you, not menopause. Thank you, coach. And yeah, people left her list, but she was clear. She told the story, how she realized that there were all these connections and how she's actually already been helping some women. And it was nerve-wracking to send that email out, but once she was able to like fully step into that, it was amazing the conversations that she was having, how much more happy she was serving her clients. And so another question that you may be sitting here thinking is, I'm nervous about losing my old audience. And so if you think about it this way, holding on to the wrong audience keeps you from attracting the right one. We really want to focus on the growth and not necessarily that loss.
Yeah, and I do want to say this. It can be hard. Amy, I actually just sent an email introducing you to somebody who's going to book a consultation with you this week. And I spent some time with her last week, and like she was really like wound up like a clock, y'all. Like, you know, those clocks back in our grade school days where crank, crank, crank and set the alarm. That's what she was like. And I looked at her through Zoom and I said, stop. Please take a breath. You are making my anxiety rise. And she was.
Yeah.
And I said, I cannot talk to you when you're like this. But what had gotten her all worked up was she realized, oh, I could cry telling this story. She had attracted an entire email list of the wrong audience. And I'm going to tell y'all a little backstory of why, as I dug in with her. She hired a coach who told her to go live every day, once a day on TikTok. She did this for 18 months with not one day off, and she didn't get one damn client from it.
Oh my gosh.
And when I had to say to her, okay, I hear you and I feel you. What if, and I know this is a big if, what if the biggest problem was right now, it's not your offers that you keep trying to redo, and it's not your lead magnets that you keep trying to redo, and it's literally you have the wrong people sitting on your list. And she's like, that's it, and I don't know how to fix it. And then she like wound herself up again, and I had to stop her. I said, I cannot talk to you when you go like this. Like, this is not good for my energy. So Amy, I sent her to you.
I saw that come in, so thanks for the debrief.
You are welcome. And I'm really excited for her, right?
Yeah.
But y'all, you know, we've been talking this season about energy management of Shannon. Shannon knows where her lane is. I helped this person as much as I could. I gave her a little homework. She did it over the weekend, right? Bold qualifier, y'all. I wanted to make sure she would actually take what I suggested in the free consultation and go apply it. And now I'm going to pass her to Amy, because Amy is the one that can really help her focus from this point forward. So the final question we get asked a lot, and I'm just going to pause for a minute, and I'm going to let you think about the answer before I answer it. Shannon, Amy, how do I know if my new messaging is working? Ding, 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 money in your bank account. That's one of them. People reaching out and asking you to speak on their stages, on their podcast. People reaching out and saying, I loved that newsletter, that blog post, it hit home for me. Conversations booked in your calendar. If something feels off, please slow the roll and don't be afraid to make adjustments. It will pay off so much in the long term. So, Amy, let's wrap up this episode with some takeaways. First, everyone's going to go revisit their ideal client profile. This isn't for beginners. It's essential you do this at least once a year in your business. especially if you're focused on growth and not just sustaining. Second, you're going to define your client's current and after state based on the market today, not when you started your business 5 years ago, right? You're going to show them, how can I help you solve your new challenges today? And then finally, we want you to put some bold qualifiers in place and attract the right clients so you can refine as you go. Testing and tweaking are a normal part of this process.
I love it. I love it. And if you're wanting support as you go through creating your new ideal client profile, if you're not for sure what experiments to test and how to even track those results, it's okay, because if you check out our signature program called Joy-Filled Business Growth Coaching, you will be able to work with Shannon and me one-on-one to uncover your new, or I'm actually going to say evolved, ideal client profile, and the messaging that's really going to engage that ideal client, as well as where do you find this new ideal client? We talk about, going out into an ocean, and trying to fish in an ocean is really hard. We need to find ponds for you to fish in. And so now, once we know that you've evolved, we know who that ideal client is, the messaging that will engage them, and where you can go to connect and speak with that ideal client. That's then when we can work on really expanding the business, because you actually have the space and time to do so. And so we really focus on all things marketing, messaging, sales, your CEO mindset, maybe even team, because all of those pieces need to be working well together so that you can grow and expand your business for good. But we can't worry about those future problems until we know that you have the messaging to attract your ideal client. So make sure you're reevaluating that as you listen today.
This was a masterclass, y'all, in ideal clients, bold qualifiers. And we just want to thank you for listening and tuning in to the Grow Your Business for Good show. If this episode resonated with you, we would appreciate a rating, a subscription, a review, all the good things. Sending you all lots of love. Adios.
Bye.